The longship rises on a monstrous wave, suspended for a heartbeat between sky and sea, then crashes down. Icy water drenches the men on deck. The wind screams through the rigging, biting to the bone. There is no shelter, no fire, just a handful of men clinging to oars and hope in a vast, indifferent ocean. Salt spray freezes on their beards, every breath a gasp of frigid air. Weeks at sea have turned land into a distant memory. Out here, survival is measured in hours. The cold is a patient predator, waiting for weakness. This is the true Viking saga, not just of heroes and gods, but of endurance. They faced the fury of the northern seas with nothing but wood, iron, and wool. Their greatest weapon was not the axe, but their knowledge of survival. How did they do it? Not with a single heroic act, but with a system of ingenious techniques. Clever clothing, shared body heat, and the right food kept them alive. They turned their bodies into furnaces, their ships into lifeboats against the cold. These were not just sailors. They were masters of survival in one of Earth's harshest environments. The real story is not about conquest, but about outsmarting the cold. This is how the Vikings survived the frozen abyss. This is more than a story of sailing. It's about conquering an environment hostile to human life. The Vikings were cold-weather survival experts, not gamblers. Their voyages were calculated, built on generations of practical knowledge. Their clothing was a sophisticated, multi-layered system to trap air and manage moisture. Every routine, from sleeping to eating, was part of a strategy to maintain core body temperature. Surviving meant following a strict system. Discipline and cooperation were non-negotiable. We'll strip away the myths and look at the practical realities, how a sheep's fleece became a sailor's best friend, why sharing a sleeping bag was life-saving, and how dried fish and cold porridge fueled their internal fires. These were the secrets that unlocked the North Atlantic. The Vikings' survival system holds lessons for us today. It was about being smart, not just tough. Let's uncover how they mastered the cold. The Viking Age was defined by the longship, a masterpiece of naval engineering, but an open boat with no shelter. Crews of up to 70 men lived and slept exposed to the elements, trading comfort for speed and versatility. Their journeys crossed the open ocean, from Scandinavia to Iceland and Greenland, braving storms and freezing seas. Falling overboard meant certain death. They navigated by sun, stars and seabirds, no compass, no forecasts, no modern gear. Their world was built of wool, leather, wood and iron. Every tool and morsel of food was chosen for survival. The settlement of Iceland and Greenland was no accident. It was the result of the most advanced maritime culture of its time. Their true achievement was understanding the limits of the human body and how to extend them. They turned open ships into survival habitats through knowledge and discipline. The Vikings' mastery of the sea was matched only by their mastery of survival. Their legacy is not just exploration, but adaptation. This is the age of the longship. The Vikings' first defence against the cold was wool, nature's own survival technology. They wore 2 layers, a soft inner layer to wick moisture and a coarse, lanolin-rich outer layer to repel water. Even when soaked, wool retained its insulating power, unlike cotton, which steals into heat. Wool could absorb up to 30% of its weight in water and still feel warm. When wet, it even released a small amount of heat, a hidden chemical advantage. Vikings cinched belts at the waist and tied wrists and ankles to trap warm air. A woolen hood was essential, preventing heat loss from the head. By sealing their clothing, they created a personal microclimate. Their woolen armour was simple, effective, and vital. It was the difference between life and death at sea. Wool was their secret weapon. When night fell and temperatures dropped, the Vikings relied on each other for warmth. They used large, shared sleeping bags, hudfat, holding 2 or 3 men together. Huddling skin to skin, they pooled body heat, creating a warmth no one could generate alone. This was not comfort, it was survival. Trust and interdependence were essential. Your life depended on the man beside you. The crew rotated in shifts, one group on duty, the other resting in the hudfat. This cycle of exposure and recovery kept everyone alive. No one stayed in the cold too long. Everyone had a chance to recover. The system transformed individuals into a single heat-generating organism. It was a brilliant, low-tech solution to a deadly problem. The human furnace was the heart of Viking survival. Alone they would freeze. Together they endured. This was teamwork at its most vital. Clothing and shared heat could only preserve warmth. The real fire came from within. The Viking diet was pure survival. High-calorie, long-lasting, and easy to store. Dried cod, stockfish, was the staple, preserved by wind and cold, eaten slowly for steady energy. Cold porridge made from oats or barley, sometimes enriched with butter, provided dense carbohydrates and fat. No cooking fires at sea, just simple, efficient fuel. Fat was vital, providing sustained energy and helping the body stay warm. Digesting these foods generated heat. Diet induced thermogenesis. Every bite stoked their internal furnace. Food was as critical as clothing or the ship itself. The Vikings ate to survive the cold. The Vikings' survival system extended to their route planning. They island-hopped across the North Atlantic. Islands like the Faroes and Iceland were crucial stepping stones, not just for supplies, but for warmth and recovery. Landfall meant fire, dry clothes, and hot food, a chance to reset after days at sea. These stops restored body and spirit, breaking the cycle of cold and exhaustion. The islands were oases of warmth in a hostile ocean. This network of recovery points was strategic, not accidental. By establishing settlements, they created permanent support infrastructure. Each voyage was a series of manageable stages, not a single ordeal. The Viking system's thinking made the impossible possible. Their network of islands was as vital as their ships. For centuries, Viking survival was theory, until 2007, when a team built the Sea Stallion, a replica longship. They sailed it from Denmark to Ireland, living exactly as Vikings did. No modern navigation, only woolen clothes, shared sleeping bags and period food. Exposed to storms and cold, the crew endured a 1,000-mile, 6-week journey. The results were clear. The system worked. Woolen clothing kept them functional, even when drenched. Shared sleeping bags restored body heat. The high-calorie diet fueled their endurance. Scientific monitoring confirmed the effectiveness of every technique. The sea stallion proved Viking survival was no myth. With discipline and teamwork, they endured what modern minds would call impossible. The experiment brought Viking history to life. Their secrets for conquering the cold were real. The Vikings' conquest of the North Atlantic is more than history. It's a lesson in resilience and teamwork. They survived not with a single trick, but with a system, clothing, food, sleep and planning all working together. Their island-hopping strategy was a built-in backup plan. Redundancy for survival. What's your backup plan? Where's your island of warmth when life gets cold? The Vikings also knew the value of a good crew. Survival depended on trust and cooperation. Who's in your hudfat when the storms hit? Ancient wisdom isn't obsolete. Their principles are timeless. Think in systems. Prepare for setbacks. Choose your crew wisely. The winds of adversity still blow. Are you ready for the journey? The Vikings ask us, is your ship ready? Their story is a blueprint for facing any challenge. The journey continues. What will you do when the cold comes? Gap ones. Enjoyed the journey? Don't let the adventure end here. Hit that subscribe button and become part of our modern-day Viking crew. With every new video, we set sail on fresh discoveries, epic tales, survival secrets, and the spirit of the North. Gap ones. Watch the animated longship sail across your screen. Our subscribe button is your ticket aboard. Smash that bell icon to never miss a voyage. Gap ones. Ready for more Viking adventures? Subscribe now and let's conquer the unknown together.